thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know your time is very valuable, so it's good to get you on and have a chat to you.
Yeah, no problem. Just fire away, crack on whenever, guys.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, yeah. So basically, I wanted to have a quick chat with you. You came over from PSV and joined us, and you started life off at City on a week's loan, and obviously impressed by getting a permanent contract with us. So I just wanted to talk a bit about where you first got the inklings from City, joining City, and your time with us, and obviously departure. If that's all right, if you can run through bit by bit, I'd really appreciate that.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Crack away.
So as somebody that's not been in football myself, I think of obviously when you joined City on a week's loan. How did that come about? How did that all start? How do you get an agent to have a chat to the City with interest, and they're like, oh, we're not sure, let's give them a week's trial? How did it work from your end?
It was after when I was at PSV, it was like successful the first year under Gus Hiddink, and then when he left, Ronald Koeman came in, and it looked like I was leaving to. I think Blackburn was showing interest, and it never really happened. So luckily enough for me, when my agent was Trevor Stephen at the time, and Man City, Stuart Pearce got in touch, and I just had to wait till January for it to happen. When you're waiting as a player, I didn't have enough playing time at PSV in my second year. They brought in another guy, and Koeman wasn't a fan of myself, and I wasn't a fan of him. And football was, in a foreign country and not playing football, which you dream of doing, was really frustrating for me. So you're just waiting for that phone call for it to happen. And when it did happen, Stuart understood my situation and said, "Look, we're going to give you the chance to come in, but we can't offer you anything like long term. You'd have to come and prove your fitness because you haven't played football for many months, and Premier League is different than the many leagues around the world. So it was a loan to the end of the season for an opportunity to do well to be a contract awarded at the end of it. So it was great to be to come back to England and come back to the Premier League and come back to a big club like Man City and given that opportunity. Stuart sort of knew my background from being a left back like he was, but also the situation when I was at Everton. You sort of not fighting relegation. You got that sort of belief of winning things at Rangers and PSV, but also how to handle a dressing room that's not sort of hitting the heights that the fans all want and expect. And he knew from my experience that I'll be capable of coming in and improving the team.
So did you say Koeman and Hiddink were your managers at PSV before you left? So they're two pretty heavy hitting managers, aren't they?
Yeah. Hiddink someone who made the phone call for me when I was due to sign for somebody else, and out the blue he called, and I was transfer deadline day saying to the family saying I was going to sign for Birmingham, and then 2 hours later I'm in Amsterdam. So trying to explain that one was.
Bonkers world as a footballer. Was that private jet or was that EasyJet style or whatever the equivalent was?
Oh no, it was it was an EasyJet. I think I don't know what airline it was. It's from Glasgow, but Eindhoven was it's an hour away from 3 airports from Belgium to Germany and Amsterdam. So they just told me get on any of them flights and we'll pick you up, and we're only an hour away. So I signed I think just before midnight as well. So I didn't really have a chance to speak to the family to say. I've just signed for a team in a different country. It was one of them where PSV had done well the year before, 2005, and unfortunately for PSV, they got beaten in the semi-final of the Champions League against AC Milan by an away goal. That AC Milan ended up going to Istanbul and that famous Liverpool Champions League final that we all know about, and so it was good to be a part of a team that they've sold their left back and there was a door opener, and because of my Dutch connections at Rangers, they knew a lot about me, so they took me there. And Koeman, when he came the second year, he asked me to do certain things that with my knee injury I couldn't do, so he didn't like that. So I was sort of castrated really and sat in the wings and training every day, not knowing I was going to play football at the weekend. So it was a massive relief when a big club at City came in and gave me an opportunity to play football again.
Bless your socks, and your debut game was against Portsmouth. So you came in. I always saw your tenure at City. Was it 3 years at City? As you always seem to be quite a senior pro, not just. So in relation to against all the other people. You know, we had sort of Mick Richard Dunn was obviously captain at the time. Did you come in and did you know any of the lads when you came on board before you took your debut?
Only Richie, really. Richie was obviously, we broke through the Everton ranks together.
Oh, of course.
And he was probably my closest mate in football, really, Richie. But, you know, you have your own paths. So Richie, you know, went to Manchester City and I done my thing. So we didn't really come across each other for a long period of time. And so I know I text Dunny to say, look, I'm coming in tomorrow. No, so he was over the moon to see us, but you knew Joey Barton, but you knew a lot of faces just from the telly, but not knowing them, you know, personally. It's like going to a new school as a kid. You know, you're the new boy, and it's always nerve-wracking. But it was good to see a friendly face. You know, like Richie's to sort of settle me down and just focus on getting into the team and playing football. When the Portsmouth game happened, though, because you're a new boy. And when you're in the club, the kit man gets to know you a bit more, and you know what you like. You're playing football, you get close to the kit man because he looks after you, model coddles you and gives you a stick. But you know, I used to like my sleeves, you know, long sleeves. I used to like a little bit baggier shirts than normal. But when my debut at Portsmouth happened, and the only number 3 shirt he had was Ben Thatcher's number 3, and he wore, I think, extra small, so I couldn't breathe in my first game. I had to cut the neck. But after that game, I made sure the kit man knew what my preferences were on the shirts. You know, I think Ben used to like his tight shirts to make his muscles look big or something. But it wasn't my cup of tea. You know, I just felt like trying to put my kid's kit on. So after that game, I made sure that Chappie give me a bigger size shirt for the next game.
Chappie, what a legend he was. I bet he was great for the team. How was the team with you coming in?
Oh, he was great. You know, I didn't know much about him, obviously, and you know, it only take about 5 minutes to realise he's the king of the whole place. You know, before you're just sitting thinking, is this really happening? You know, is he just dressed up as he dressed up as a bear, he dressed up as Hitler, he dressed up as, you know, anything just out the blue before a team meeting. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And the lads all loved him. You know, I just took to him straight away. I thought he's my type of character because he makes the whole place tick. You know, sometimes when things aren't going well for you, he gets the buzz of the lads or buzzing for you, and you go out and play for him as well as yourself and the team, and you just realise how important the staff are. You know, from the canteen girls, and the Chappie was just a life and soul of the whole place, and he loved to moan. But you know, don't we all? But he was a great character, and you know, and especially when new players come in, that was the best thing. It was obviously not for me at the time, but then when a new player comes in, you can sit back and just watch Chappie just probably tear into them, and they're thinking, what's going on here? You know, what we've signed for here? You know, and then 5 minutes later, their best mates, you know, like pets up when he come in or something like that, and it was just great to witness him. You know, and obviously he's a football legend in his own right, and he'll tell you. There's 749 league games, you know, and I'm doing this, I'm cleaning your boots, Paulie, you know, and yeah, you know, he's just great to be around. You know, people like, he's a proper football person, but a proper person in and out football as well. And you know, he just knew what the whole club was all about. It was great. He was a fantastic character.
Amazing. I'm looking at the squad from when you signed with us. Firstly, it was bloody huge, wasn't it? Our squad when you signed for us. I think I count 11 strikers at one point. When you came on board with us, what was the team like that came in? Because we had sort of Milano, Stephen Ireland, Giovanni, Petrov, who's Dan's love child. If you heard the podcast, you might have heard. Who are your pick players when you look at that squad? Who were you looking forward to playing with the most? Obviously, Dunny is a friend. Obviously.
Yeah, it was the Scouts connection. Really, was Joey, because Joey was like. You know, he was in training. You know, he was fitter than anyone. You know, and he had his own way of going about things, and sometimes I used to think, what's he doing that for? You know, he might walk off training if certain situations, you know, happen that he didn't like, but he wouldn't be going over, he'd be going in the gym to make himself fitter again. And what I liked about Joey was his temperament in training was obviously what we know, but he was trying to get the best out of everyone in and around him. And if we beat Joey in a 5-a-side, he'll take the huff. And we used to sort of try and wind him up that way. But that was him to get the best out of the players. And he'd go, look, he might do it on a Tuesday in training, but do it on a Saturday. And I loved that attitude from him, because, yeah, you can be Pele or Messi in training one day of the week, but you've got to be at the end of the day, football's about turning up at the weekend and putting on a show and getting results and getting points on the table. And he was sort of, he had his own way of going about things. And then you got the captain, like Richie, who was more quiet and sort of led by example how he performed every weekend. So it was great for the youngsters coming through to see, how Richie went about things, how Joey did, and then I came through. But we had very technical players as well, and that was the good thing, that we had a mixture in that squad. It was big. The changing room was huge. No wonder Chappie wasn't the happiest every day. But it was just getting over the line and trying to get that season finished. For me personally, it was just to get back playing as well, and trying to earn a contract and stay at the club as much as I can. And we did what we needed to do. It wasn't pretty, but we got the results we needed. I think from the team, the players just getting together, and what we doing in training was good. It just wasn't working too much, at the weekend. But when we started picking up the results and getting the results that we needed, that the summer's coming next season. It's all about, let's kickstart the season and as easy and better as possible.
Were you always a left back? Were you always a defender?
Not really. No, but when you're younger, you start up front, don't you? And you get bullied. And because I was left-footed, I got bullied to left wing, then left mid, and I ended up at left back. But during my career, really, especially at Everton, I played all over the place. My best year at Everton was probably a centre half when I got Player of the Year there. But I played centre mid, and I used to get told to man mark gigs or man mark Overmars, which I don't want to. I'd rather wipe out my memory of playing right back against Overmars at Highbury. That was something that I don't really want to remember. He was far too good. But I put it down to me playing out of position. But yeah, most of my game was left back. But I did enjoy playing centre back, and it's all down to if they played three at the back. I really enjoyed that because I was only 5'10". I'm not the size of of Richie and Distan and stuff like that. They were playing centre half, so I always needed some bit of height presence alongside me if I did play centre half. But I was comfortable to play, in numerous positions. But left back, centre half is probably my favourites.
Crikey, Charlie. Dan, I know you've got a couple of questions for Mike, haven't you?
Yeah, well, mine are a bit later on, but I just want to talk about your first goal. Well, the only goal I can really think of when I think of your name, it's the goal against Preston. That, for me, for that season, is probably one of the most memorable goals I can think of that season. Just the way you just thought, sod it, I'm having this, and it just absolutely cannoned in off the left post. What were your thoughts when that went in?
When it sort of bounced right for me, come off the bar. And I just thought, hang on, this is for me. This is for me. So I made sure that my technique was right. And when I hit it, I thought it's going in. And when I hit the post, I didn't think it went in. I thought it was going to come back out. But when it did hit the post and it went in, it was again moving to a new club, and you're sort of trying to implement what you're all about. And to get your first goal, that eases the pressure. The lads coming over you, jumping all over you, and it was a difficult game. That, and it was the FA Cup against Preston, and to get that first goal for myself personally was great, but it got us back into the game. Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it just made a funny noise.
That was me, so an email.
All right, sorry. So again, it was sort of like getting your first goal in a new club. It sort of stamps your authority of why you've been brought to the club, and it was a difficult game for us. So it was an important goal for us, and really enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favourite, probably my best goals I've probably ever scored, professionally wise. So it was a really good moment for me.
It wasn't tempting you to maybe rejuvenate your career at striker like you started off in your younger years?
The striker technique come out to save me at that moment. I remember at half-time, Stuart Pearce pulled me over and, give me a bit of a headlock. Great goal, mate, go and get another one. I'm thinking, does he know I do play left back and I'm not a striker? Is he expecting me to score 3 or 4 goals here? But I thought, good, that had the pressure, go and get another goal for him. I was thinking, I'm sure he hasn't watched my career enough. I've never gotten to double figures in my life. But yeah, no, it's always, especially for a defender to score from open play, it was good.
What was Stuart Pearce like as a manager?
He surprised me, really. I didn't know much about Stuart Pearce, only from watching him when I was a kid, when he was left back, and he's known from psycho and very tough tackler. And me being a left back, I used to watch him closely. And when I was in England under 18s and 16s, we'll go to the games and he'd still be playing. And I'd be sort of watching closely what he did and see if I can add it to my game as well. But when he was a manager, he was very soft. He was very laid back, a gentleman. He wouldn't come into the changing room. He found that it was his time has come being a player. He must have found it difficult for himself of being a player than a player manager, and all of a sudden he is the manager. So he barred himself from the players' changing room, so the players can go and do what they wanted to do. And so I found that situation understandable. And a lot of as you said, there was a lot of players there. There's a lot of players probably unhappy as well, not getting game time. So for his first role, he had to juggle a lot of things, keep players happy, look after the lads who turn up week in and week out, but also try and keep the place a happy place. Sometimes when the players aren't involved in the squad, they can disrupt it a little bit. So he had a lot on his plate. He had a lot of pressure on his hands, and obviously himself to prove that he could be a manager. He was very eager to learn, but you could see it was his first time as being a manager. And the coaching side of things, the training sessions and stuff. But the players, as myself, could all understand that, and it was probably a good chance for the young kids to start coming through and give them an opportunity to break into the team.
Perfect. From your experiences, what were the major highs that you experienced with City?
Possibly, it's probably the double over United. I think that's probably the highlight when Sven came in. Being in and around Sven and how Sven's thought about the game was much different. So I think the majority of the players who were there thought, and he was very honest about everything. Where he wants to take this club. He had very, very high expectations. If you normally every club has like a win bonus of where you're going to finish in each season, and you talk, like say Richard Dunn, myself, and would go in and speak to the manager and go, look, well, are we going to raise the bonuses up this year because other clubs have got the triple 3 or 4 times more than us? And Sven was a bit confused about it. He was like, well, if you're finishing after the top 10, why are you getting any bonuses? It's a failure. And I loved that attitude from him. You go, no, if you win the league, triple the bonuses if you win everything. But why if you finish 14th, 15th, why should you get a bonus? And that's the attitude that I think we all like to hear. Dunny was quite surprised about it because it's never been brought up before. But Sven's being a successful manager, when things get rewarded, they'll get rewarded for being mediocre in the type. And that was before the season. He knew he's going to have a lot of money to spend when the Thai owners came in. And again, my situation personally was, Sven thought, he wanted me to prove to him as well, because I was only on a short-term contract, that he said, well, I'm going to be signing other players, Michael, and I'll give you the opportunity. I promise you that will happen, but I'm going to be bringing someone else to push you. And he brought in Garrido. But he'd done that all over the pitch. He wanted competition in as many positions as possible. And what Sven done, what surprised me with Sven, he was every day in training. Britain, normally you have a Monday, Tuesday, double sessions Tuesday afternoons, and then Wednesday you're off. Sven was more the Italian, where you were in every day, working on defending, which was happy for me. It brought my game on defensively, but he always trusted into Petrov and the Alanos and Giovanni's, the guys that go and win us the game and win us the football matches. But the majority of our training was all about defending as a team or just defending as a unit. So training sessions for me were great and very enjoyable, and it improved us. And we done well. We done very well the first part of that season. And if you're looking back on it now, the failure of the coming off that sort of second part of the season was probably more down for the rest of us, not sort of being at the same level as, the Alanos and Petrovs, but because Alano was, he was so good, but then he was playing for Brazil and then flying back from Brazil on a Friday, and we're expecting him to be Messi on a Saturday after early morning, 3 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
It was always difficult at the best of times, but I think when all these new players came into the English League, they had the first time they've ever had to witness playing over the Christmas period. They normally probably have a winter break, wherever they came from, and to recharge the batteries. England, it's probably the busiest time in football. The Premier League football is a lot, harder on your body, and it's a lot faster league. So I think the accumulation of playing in a tougher league, playing so many games in a short space of time over Christmas, I think by like mid-January, or the turn of January, that I think it probably starting to show on us, and we just couldn't keep up to that level that we were before Christmas. But Sven was aware of that. He knew. He spoke to all the lads together, and he asked the lads as a group. He goes, look, before this gets worse, what is there anything we can do? Is there anything that we can change? So we don't want at the end of the season go, I wish we'd done this, or I wish we should have tried that. And the lads just said, look, can we just have a day off? We're probably sick of the sight of seeing each other. It's not just about training, it's just about that mental break. And Sven went, yeah, okay, let's do it. Didn't work, unfortunately, but we got to, it didn't really work, but we tried it. And the way Sven went about things was everything was similar, and he knew how to play football, how he wanted to play. And he got the players to, when it worked for us. Especially going away from home, we were strong, and he tried to snatch a win, but he was happy with a draw. But he wanted to pick points up at home all the time. So when you beat your arch rivals, and then there was the Munich anniversary at Old Trafford. Yeah. It was a big opportunity to, we're picking points up away from home, but again, doing it against a big team and against your arch rivals was more important. So when we won that game, we knew, look, we're capable, we can do it. We just got to get the consistency now.
We can't pass over talking about playing against United without a certain tackle. And I think you know what I'm going to be talking about right now, don't you? Because I'm sure you asked about it every time somebody sees you.
I do, yeah.
I clearly think you got the ball, but you might have a different opinion on that.
It depends how blinkered we are.
Well, were you just so wound up during it, and how did it come about? Obviously, the ref missed it, thank God. But obviously, you got.
Well, that was the year before.
2007.
Under Stuart Pearce, and he called me in a few days after that. But it was a moment of madness, which I still to this day can't really understand how or why I did it. I played against Cristiano a few times, playing for Rangers in the Champions League, and enjoyed the battles against him. Maybe, I'm not trying to think of excuses, but it was like at the pre-season, before that season, I didn't get a chance to play the first game that Garrido played. But I was travelling in from Liverpool to Manchester each and every day, and I bumped into Wayne Rooney at the petrol station services and just had a quick chat. And if you remember back then, Cristiano was he was probably the boo boy in English football after that little wink that he did to Wayne when he's playing for Portugal. And I jokingly said, "Don't worry, I'll get him," like laughing and joking. But I didn't get a chance to do that because I didn't play the first game, and I had to wait all this time to the end of the season to play against Cristiano. And my dad said to me, what are you going to do? And my dad's never, ever said anything like that to me before. So I don't know. I'm just going to do what I normally do, against wingers, make sure he's in for the game, and, I'm ready for the battle. We're going to get a chance, going to tackle him fairly and strongly and go, well, you have to be on top of your game. But by then, Cristiano's not just turned himself around, he's turned the whole country back around. He's gone from the boo boy to being, this wonder star that we all see now, and the fans have stopped booing him and probably applaud him, his performances, and that's probably drove him to be an even better player. So he always difficult to play against, but I love the battles against him. And for some reason, I don't know if he slipped or whatever, and then he's on the floor. And I watch back and embarrass myself sometimes. I'm looking like it looks like I'm looking at the linesman to see if he's looking, forgetting that Sky have got player cam, and it's going to definitely be on Cristiano, thinking I was going to get away with it. But for some reason, I've just kicked him or stamped him. Basically, a little kick to go, get up, I'm ready for the fight. But when you look back on it, it looks a lot worse than what I imagined I was going to be doing, and it's quite embarrassing.
There was a definite when I watched it back.
It was a straight. That was again. It was a daft thing to me, but luckily enough, the referee never seen it, and I could still play the rest of the game. But Cristiano, he ended up winning the game for them, unfortunately. But we got a penalty near the end, and Wes Brown brought me down. And I think Frizzell took the penalty, but I used to take the pens for Everton, and I wanted to take the pen, and it's just sort of, I wasn't sort of strong enough to go over. I think Frizzell, he was the guy to Sven said he's going to take the penalty, but I think if I was a bit braver, I hope I could have grabbed the ball and took the pen myself and got us a point to rescue in that game. But that was one of them. The referee, obviously, after the uproar after that was all over Sky, and the FA pulled me to one side. And while I was probably a strong tackler, I was always fair. I never got sent off. Picked up a lot of bookings, but never got sent off. So they were pretty lenient with me, and I had to write a letter. Or I wrote a letter to Cristiano personally, just to say sorry. But it was something you don't want to see on a football pitch. I know it's a derby game, and sort of the fan side of things, but you want to beat them, and that's what I liked about it. The following years when we played them fair and square, and we done a double over them.
Brilliant. Well, let's move on to obviously going back into 2008. There's a game where your mate. There's a game where I think Richards was the captain and he was knocked out at some point, and you were given the captain's armband, and it seemed like a natural thing for the team to get the armband straight away. Were you always seen as a senior player to get that? Was that discussed previously, or were you just the senior head in the team at that point? Or?
No, yeah, I think it's just because I was a sort of a voice. Generally in a football changing room, there's always a few players who've got the voice, and if you haven't got the voice, they've got the senior sort of figure there. Richie was always obviously the standout captain, and he was never injured. Richie was. He was play with one leg. He was always playing. No matter what injury he had, he wanted to play football. So there was never any sort of discussion of if he gets suspended or if he's not playing, who's going to be the captaincy. And Mika was a young kid coming through, and the club had big ideas for Mika. He come through the ranks, and he was pushing for the England setup and doing really well in his career. So he was always up there. But I think because of maybe relationship with Sven and also with Richie, I was back in the team, I was playing frequently, that it was just an easier choice to give it to myself, which is a big honour to put the captain's armband, and for the big club. It was something that you, as a player, you've got your expectations as well, but then as soon as you start putting that armband on, it sort of makes your sort of chest go out again, and you've got to not just worry about your own game, but make sure the team are doing their own jobs more than you probably normally do. You get that sort of leadership skills has got to come out here to get the best out of the players in and around you, and respect.
You certainly talk a good talk, Michael. There's no doubt about that. You certainly sound. Did you ever think about going into management?
It was something that you've always thought. When you play football, you think, well, yeah, after footy, I'm going to I'll be a manager. It's not as easy as that. You've got to do your coaching badges for a few years, and it was sort of, but when my time was up, it was like, I don't know if I can be bothered doing the coaching badges. And then I sat on my backside far too long, and then people were telling me, go and do it. So I went up to Scotland to do my badges, and then I only lasted a few days. I just realised it's not for me. I'd love to be involved in a changing room right now and be a sort of a mentor to players and point them in the right direction and give them a few pointers. But the way the managers are nowadays, it's a difficult process and a lot of time consuming to even get your badges, and then an opportunity to open the door. So I found another path to be involved in football to keep me busy instead of watching Netflix every 2 minutes right now.
One thing I want to ask, Michael, is obviously you've had a very good career. Was probably one of the lowest points the so-called balloon gate, if you know which one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched countless times that video. I'm sure most people have. Everyone always remembers the Pepe Reina and beach ball incidents, but City fans always remember that. Commentary is just saying like it was basically you'd miss the ball because the balloon's there, but others have always argued you would just you misread the ball basically. What was the actual situation? Did you miss the ball, or was it the balloons being a pain in the ass?
It was a mixture of everything, really. It's just something that happened. It's never happened before, and you're like, what's just happened there? And it's like my brother was watching the game with all his mates, and he was dead embarrassed of what's going on. I was dead embarrassed. I didn't really know what went on. I was coming over to sweep up. The ball comes to my right foot's not the best anyway, and I seen the ball. I made the opportunity to go and clear the ball, and all of a sudden there's balloons everywhere, and obviously I've took my eye off the ball and probably got distracted, and then they scored, and I didn't know what's going on, and the first person to see him was the Haman, and he sort of looked at me like I had 10 heads and gone and walked away. I was like, what's that? And then he said to me, I nearly started laughing. I said, I don't know what's gone. I don't know what happens. What happens? And he said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what happens. I said, seen the ball, and then I haven't kicked the ball, and they've scored, and it was embarrassing for me personally, but also the way that game went in the cup. It was again an opportunity that we've threw away, and it's my fault. So it was embarrassing going back in the changing room and the way it happens. Luckily for nothing, it hasn't been on TV a lot.
No.
because it was in the FA Cup. It's not while we're in lockdown. I've seen a few bloopers that's been coming on the TV, and I'm going, oh no, don't show this.
I can't put any blame on you for that. I was in the away end. Me and my mate Carl, we got a coach from Manchester over there. And one thing I always remember about that is obviously one of the balloon one, and the second one, I had the warmest beer at half time in that concourse I've ever had in my life. Honestly, it's like they put it in the oven for 20 minutes before they give it to me. It's funny how you remember things like that, isn't it?
Well, it was after I was thinking, oh no, what's the manager, Sven, he's obviously a lovely man, gentleman. I'm thinking, oh, what's he going to say now? Because he was very honest. So I was thinking, I have to watch it back on Match of the Day to find out exactly what happened, to see the whole picture of it. So it was even worse watching on the telly than what I imagined in my head. And then obviously Sven's comments afterwards that the Blues done a 1-2 past me. I thought that'll do. Yeah, I'll say that. That's what happened. The Blues done a 1-2 past me, which is, I don't know if it's more embarrassing. Either missing the ball or Blues will took me on.
I can guarantee you one thing, I don't blame you for that. No way whatsoever. The ball's coming in. It's whoever brought the balloons in, and it definitely wasn't me. We're coming to the end, Michael, but one thing I wanted to mention was I was talking to my uncle Chris, who I go to City games with, and we're talking about having a chat to you. And he one of the things he mentioned, it was just a shame that your career with City ended the way it did, in 2009 with months out with your knee injury. I think we both agreed that we would have liked to have seen you play for more, but it just didn't work out that way. How obviously it's a bit of a downward point this before we end the conversation, but obviously it's an important part of your career with your knee and your injuries and so forth. And how did the contracts end up expiring with City?
It was really frustrating. As we spoke about before, my contract was short to prove myself, and I was always in contract talks with the club, and then I got a contract talk, and then Sven left, and then I had to start all over again. Obviously, when I first signed, it was a short-term contract to prove my fitness, and I did that. I got my contract in, and Sven came in, and again, I ticked the boxes with Sven. And while we were there, we were talking about contracts, and that didn't really happen because Mark Hughes came in, and then he wanted the same situation with Sven, which is reasonable. Look, we've got took over. We've got more money. We're going to be bringing big players in. I said, well, I'm up for the fight. I'll be playing. I want to still be here. So that was it. Players got involved, and unfortunately for me, that Christmas period, if I played a game on a Saturday, on a Monday, I wouldn't train. I'll be getting massage. I'll be chilling, getting my knee ready for the next match. And the physios all knew about it, and the surgeon told me certain things what I had to do to keep myself 100% for game time. And Mark Hughes wanted me to play more games. It was a Christmas period. I think we played on the Saturday and I played on the Monday. And you're never going to say no. If the manager tells you playing football, you're going to put that shirt on and play, no matter if your leg's falling off or not. But looking back now, I really probably shouldn't have played certain games. I should have been more honest to the manager to say, look, you know, I know I'm trying to, you know, chase a contract and prove to yourself that I'm, you know, I can still do it, but I've got to be probably just more cautious on the amount of games in a short space of time. So after that game, I was carrying an injury for quite a while, but because I was still playing well and was getting man of the match in certain games, and the physio was scratching his head thinking how I can play at that certain level. To me, I was going, well, my knee's okay. If I'm playing in the Premier League and doing well, my knee can't be that bad. But unfortunately, you know, playing them games over the Christmas period, it all caught up to me. And then my knee, it basically sort of blew up on me. And when I had to go and see the surgeon and get shouted at by him again because I didn't do what he told me I needed to do, it's kind of did have the bottle to say to Mark Hughes, look, I don't want to play. It's not that I don't want to play, it's like I can't play.
Yeah.
And that was it then. You know, Trevor Stephen was my agent, and he was speaking to Mark Hughes about a new contract, and it was all sort of, yeah, we'll sort it out. But then when the injury struck, that gets taken away from you. Then Mark Hughes pulled me in when we found out the results of the scan and the operation, and said, look, he's going to be out for a good 12 months. There was obviously an option that he's not going to take. He doesn't want to be given a contract to myself and sitting there for 12 months. So that was really frustrating. You know, we knew we were going to be bringing players in, and that's great for the club. But personally, for myself, I'd love the challenge to, you know, we brought, you know, so like Wayne Bridge, keep challenging Wayne Bridge to keep his game on top as well. And when it gets taken away from injury, it's a bitter pill to swallow. And you know, while I was frustrated with Mark Hughes at the time for not giving me the contract earlier, you know, he's obviously got to think about himself and the team. So it was sort of, you know, I put my body on the line quite a lot. You know, Bernard Alford, I've bumped into a few times at Goodison, and he spoke, you know, really highly about myself. And you know, he see me crawling off the pitch at Blackburn that day, and it's because my knee was, you know, I couldn't lift my leg up. It was really that poor state. And as I said, the surgeon gave me a big telling off, and he said, your life after football is going to be a lot worse, Mike. You need to concentrate. I've told you time and time again. And so that was disappointing to go, well,
yeah, I can imagine.
You know, that was it, really retiring. And it's but it was great to see, you know, City doing what they were doing. But you have that little thing in it. I wish you'd been a part of it. But you know, it's down to injury more than you know, how I played. So I've got to sort of think that's it. My time was over, and you'd have to move on.
The last couple, that's a great point as well, by the way, what you're talking about with your the Mark Hughes era, and you can completely get the ruthlessness within any football management and the team that's going to be built around them. So you were literally on the tail end of basically your career with City ended just before the takeover, before Mansour took over, or were you involved in that at the time?
Yeah, I was still in and around it, you know. Because I've had my operation, you know, I was still getting my rehab at City. I was still going in and out. So, you know, I was still in the changing room, you know, when Tevez was coming in, when Lescott came in. You know, so when all the new big stars were all coming in, I was still, you know, in the medical side of things, getting treated until, you know, I was good enough to sort of start getting back on the training field and start running. You know, so it was great from the club that they still allowed me to, you know, stay in the club and get me rehab of what the surgeons, you know, put in front of me to, you know, to do. So in and around it, you see the club changing. Mark Hughes started it really from upgrading the training ground and bringing in loads of good stuff in the gym. And you can see the club, you know, when Mark was there, it was ticking over. Everything was improving, you know, from the ground itself, but also from the training ground. And then obviously when Mansour took over, it went to another level of the players, of the calibre of the players coming in. And it's all about winning football matches, and you know, to win football matches, bringing these types of players into the football club gives a whole buzz around the place. And you know, it was disappointing for me not to be involved in it all, but it was great to see, you know, a football club, a sleeping giant that's finally got an opportunity to start, you know, chasing trophies and winning games and putting smiles on people's faces every week instead of once every few weeks.
It's phenomenal time, and I bet you saw some changes even that short period, didn't you?
But yeah, I did. You know, it was sort of, while I was there, I've had sort of 3 different managers and 3 different owners, 3 different chairmen. So it was the transition of it all from, you know, from the food. It was funny enough, the food was okay, but you know, it went to another level again. When Sven was there, the hotels we were going in London were all 5-star hotels. The Tyona put us in the best hotels. We've gone, I can't remember what the hotel was, basically going from a Premier Lodge to 5 stars. So it was great for the, you know, it was great for the players. You know, the food was spot on, and you know, they got the best out of you. You know, they were talking about the sports science. I think when there was the sports science guys were there, I think there might have been 4 or 5 staff.
Blimey, O'Reilly, massive. From you know, a couple of last minute points I want to mention is you mentioned that the Thai owner there. What was the end of season trip to Thailand like, Michael?
Before the season finished, we all had a team meeting and we got told we had to go to Thailand. I think it was for 2 weeks. I think after the season, normally you only get probably 3 weeks off in the summer before you start back pre-season anyway. So I think a lot of the players weren't too happy. I don't think Sven was too happy, but he was, you know, still the manager. And they all went. But I had a bit of a knee injury. I just sort of threw that to the physio. I say, tell them I've got to go and see the surgeon, which I did, but it'd only take a day. You know, it wouldn't have to be a week or so. So I took my date to London a couple of days after they were going to Thailand, so I couldn't go. I think they were going to get fined a few weeks' wages if you never. But you know, I had a good excuse and got my knee checked up ready for the next season. But I think a few of the lads who went to Thailand, I think they really enjoyed themselves. I think
they did.
I think the senior pros enjoyed themselves, and I think Sven enjoyed himself the most.
That does not surprise me. The stories I've heard have been very much, especially with the single lads, Sven's very much don't do something that I wouldn't do, which kind of give him carte blanche for everything, didn't it, really? Bless him.
Well, when we come back from the season, he went, that was the best trip I've ever been on. All you missed out on that. I was like, oh, right, okay.
I've started everything, and in Thailand it is the equivalent of. But one of our admins, Dan, has asked the question. It's a very good one. This regards to this is the last one. We tried to not leave this as a negative, but you have to look back and see the funny side now. The 8-1 defeat to Middlesbrough. Just what was going on with the players in the back room, and it was obvious for me watching it as a fan, something wasn't right, and the result tells me something wasn't right. What's your perspective of it?
It's you know, you get asked this quite a lot, and you can't put your finger on it really. We obviously knew what was going on with Sven. The fans were singing about to keep Sven, and you know, the pressure the Thailand. You know, he wanted a change, but we didn't know that as players really. It was more fun. It was just the media and the paper talk, and hopefully we'll get out. We'll finish the season right and do well. But all I remember from back then was Sven did say, "Look, we've got an opportunity. If on this fair play European spot, we're up there. We're up there, and we're very close. We could be there if we go out today and we don't do anything daft." And this is on a point scale of random things you wouldn't think about. How the manager and the assistants and the bench, how they react over certain. Do they give the fourth official loads of grief? Are they up and down? There's rules. You're only allowed to have one person stand up at the same time. If two, he gets deducted. But because of Sven the way he was very calm. So he used to sit down and never really, you know, do it. You just stand there and watch the game, or you stand up and give a few pointers and go back to his bench. So we were very high on that. So we just knew to go out, obviously try and win the game, but don't be doing any rash challenges, don't be getting sending off, and that's what we sort of went out to do. But all within a few minutes, Richard done a professional foul, and he's got sent off. I think the fans were having a bit of more of a Sven riety type thing, and I think everyone just looked around and gone, "Oh my God, we've just been told to be like calm, relax," and all of a sudden it's sort of gone out the window with the sending off, and I took the armband again and thinking, come on, let's get back into this game. But if you've watched that game now, I know I made a mistake on the 6th or 7th goal, being like lazy and didn't do my job properly. But all of the other goals were wonder goals. It was one of them games where everything just didn't go for us. We were trying. You have Rolano on the bench, and then he come on and scored a great goal, but it was far too late then. But every goal you think of, go on, shoot, and he did, and it goes in. You're like, no way, how's that going in from there?
There's no kind of underlying negativity with regards to management.
No, it was, I think people blame that on that, but I think from inside the changing room, we didn't think that way. We were going out there to win a game of football, but okay, we're not going to be throwing 2-foot challenges in. We're going to try to be sensible so we get this European spot. We had our eye on Europe. So it was a strange bus journey going home. We're being humiliated, we're embarrassed. But then we got the phone call that even with that result, we're in Europe for next year. They're like, no way. So we had not a celebration, but we had we've achieved something, even though we had that horrible result that undermines the whole season, that we did so well the first part and it sort of fell away the second part, but we still managed to get into Europe. Not the spot we wanted, but we still, at the end of the day, got into Europe after that, the embarrassing result. So sort of the result didn't really matter at the end of the day. It was like we've achieved something for that season to focus on for the next season.
Must have been a bonkers journey home, from drinking to commiserate to drinking to celebrate within the space of half an hour.
yeah, it was. A lot of lads were having it was your last game of the season as well, so you're not going to see your teammates. So it's sort of like, it was like sitting there embarrassed, and then all of a sudden we get the text, you're like, let's have a little drink, but you got your car, you can't go too mental. But again, it was sort of like we've achieved something. So while it was embarrassing, and then you watch it over and over again when you get home, you think about every goal. If you'll watch it, besides the one I give away, but it was every goal was fantastic. I got the ball, and I remember looking up and going, where are you? Everyone ran away from me, and I just tried to pass the ball through someone's legs and never worked, and then they got another goal. You're like, oh, this is just not our day today.
This time, can you either?
Yeah, no, there was no balloons, nothing in the way. And it's just one of them days. Just nothing went for us, and it's just sort of thinking, what's this? After that whole game plan went out the window as soon as Richie got sent off, and I just feel maybe the players have been hiding and didn't want to really listen to probably got to us.
Bless you. Listen, Michael, I can't thank you enough for talking so passionately about City and your career with us. I really do. What are you up to these days then? What's post career Michael Ball up to? What's your goals? What's your ambitions? What are you up to?
Well, at this moment now, it's like after football, like in many footballs, you don't really know what to do. And I spend a lot of time with the family and just spending time that you couldn't do when you're traveling playing football. And then your phone starts ringing, people start asking you for advice. Your mates' kids and other players, the children getting into the game and going to the kids' academies, football academies all over the place. And then my phone's got busier and busier, just helping people, more of sort of guidance and giving my advice in the game and what to look out for and giving them my experience. And I thought, well, some guys said, why don't you start up a sports agency? And I have. So we've done that now, and hopefully we'll sign a few good players on and get a Man City shirt on, and they'll be looking after them on the agent side of things. I'm more of the sort of the mentor side and speak to them on a football basis and trying to improve the players that we have and put the right pointers on them and make sure the head's in the right way. There's a lot of the agencies have got a bad reputation for right and wrong reasons, and there's the good and the bad. And I just want to change that really for myself. And put my name to it and just give my advice. And all you've got to do is give the players an opportunity and let them be their own person, but giving them the right advice to go out and play football, because it's a fantastic job. It's your dream. You've been doing it since 5-6 years old, so don't be doing it making daft decisions and making people have a different opinion of yourself. Go out, express yourself, and I just want to give them every pointer I can possibly myself, and to make them develop as a player and as a person.
I think that's brilliant. That you've got such a knowledgeable, wise head on your shoulders to be able to give information. Must be really satisfying to young up and coming lads coming through the ranks. I think that's a great thing to do. Must be quite satisfying, actually.
Well, it's just probably because I wasn't a coach. I think if you're a coach, you'd like to see develop players. But I think nowadays, the way modern football's gone, that probably gets taken away from you. You're probably only with a young kid for a couple of years, and then he gets moved to the first team, and then he's obviously got another manager to look down to. But so being a part of, especially a young kid from 16 years old to watch his development and watch him go as a boy into a young man into hopefully into a senior pro, hopefully that's going to give me a lot of enjoyment to see I was a part of his journey.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, Michael Ball, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Enjoyed it. Take care.
Cheers, pal.
Thank you for putting me up on Twitter as well. Sorry about all the messages. I'm new to it all. Basically, I created my Twitter account just to get you on one of our podcasts. So I'm still new to it, but no, thank you.
No problem. No, I was doing like a Skype one, and then I was like, what am I doing? Zoom. So someone did me a Zoom one, and then I was like, downloaded Zoom. I'm hopeless at all this. That's what my son does for me. But
I'm glad I'm in the same boat then in that case.
Yeah, but I'm a dinosaur in that point of view. I need to get down with the kids a bit more and get used to this.
You could be asking these young lads you're getting through as agent to give you a hand on the other side.
Well, that's what they keep on saying. Why don't you do FaceTime? I said, I can't. I'm on the phone. I like walking around, so all you're going to see is me ear. I'm in a madhouse. I've got 4 kids who are freaking nuts. So they've got to go and hide in the garage or hide in another room somewhere so I get a bit of peace and quiet so I can do the interviews properly.
Oh, brilliant. Listen, mate, thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely evening. See you soon.
Thank yourself. Take care, guys.
Cheers, Michael.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.